Afghanistan. How interesting it is. Hello everyone. Welcome to part 5 of Afghanistan. How interesting it is. And regarding my recent announcement, if I get 10 to 20 subscribers, and I may or may not do a Q&A. And as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like to see more of my content, please subscribe. Although I'll probably have like a 1 to 2 week upload schedule, so be aware of that. And also, if you think someone else could be interested in the content that I make, then feel free to share this video to them and other videos of my content. Let's get started. No. Last time we left off with the problems, about like replacing a hardliner Hafizullah Amin with a moderate Barbara Campbell. You think that would fix unrest issues, right? As you can see, heck no. Anyways, let's get to our now. We're going to do an intro of the Afghan rebels. Now, there are many factions that comprise Afghan Mujahideen, aka the rebels. Most were Islamist and conservative. A few were liberal. One of them was the most influential, and the Kofkov line of Panjshir was a member of one of those factions. If you know that guy in the picture, don't worry, I will introduce him later. But if you know him, then good job on your part. Now we're going to introduce you to the first and one of the most important Mujahideen factions, Jamiat Islami. Now, its political leader is Bur Burhanuddin Rabbani, and its military leaders are Ahmad Shah Massoud, Ismail Khan, and Atta Mohammed Noor. And these are by order. So remember that guy that I told you in the last slide was a member of one of the most influential factions. Yeah, his name is Ahmad Shah Massoud, as you can see. He's also the primary military leader of Jamiat Islami. And then next was Ismail Khan, who was a mutineer in the Herat mutiny, if you remember. And Atta Muhammad were just yeah. They are Jamiat Islami was liberal compared to other factions, but not the most liberal. And it's one of the two most influential. They operated and were active along the provinces or regions of Panjshir, Herat, and basically northern Afghanistan. A lot of northern Afghanistan, I say. Now let's go to our next Mujahideen faction. Hezb Islami Gulbidin, led by Gulbidin Hekmatyar, the other most influential faction. And it got the lion's share of external aid. Like for example, it got the stingers and it got like the weapons, despite their lack of important victories. I mean, that does not make sense, does it? Oh, and should I mention that these guys also contributed to the drug trade? Yes, they cultivated opium, and then they made heroin out of that to sell everywhere in the world, including the United States. You know what was also going on at the time of the Afghan conflict? The war on drugs. So it would be very ironic for the US to support them, right? Anyways, Hezb Islami Gulbidin is also one of the most conservative of the factions. Like The members even spit acid to the faces of girls that did not wear hijabs. And then there is Maktab al Kidamat. YouTube is definitely going to delay my chance to lower my chances of being able to get monetized in the future because of this. So it's an open beta version of Al Qaeda, which is a very significant foreshadowing if you know what happened on a certain September afternoon in a few skyscrapers in Manhattan. I will not go any further because I'm going to get striked by YouTube. Anyways, the leaders of Maktab al-Kidamat are Osama bin Laden and Abdullah Yusuf Azam. Osama bin Laden is very important for later. Very later. Anyways, they were the main facilitators of Arab Mujahideen or foreign fighters entering Afghanistan. And they were jihadists. And if you don't know what jihad is, it is a Muslim word. It is an Arabic word for struggle. But for all practical reasons, it's used to describe holy war, aka Islamic State shenanigans, is somewhere in Syria and Iraq in 2015, 2014. Oh, anyways, next option. The Islamic Dawah Organization of Afghanistan, led by Abdul Rasul Sayaf or Abdullah Rasul Sayaf, they had very strong connections with Arab volunteers. They got a lot of support from Saudi Arabia. This actually started as a way to unite the Islamist factions of Afghanistan, but they became unique. Also, I should mention that while while Jamiat Islami is certainly liberal faction, it still technically counts as an Islamist faction. Okay, just here to de-radicalize the term Islamist. Anyways, eventually became unique after it failed to unite the Islamists. On a scale of 10 to 0, with 10 being the most Islamist, 0 being not Islamist at all, they're on a scale of 5. And then you have Hezb Islamic Hadith, led by Muhammad Yunus Khalis. His picture, an image of him could not be found. This faction split from Hezb Islami, which split into the Khalis and Gulbuddin factions, which I mentioned earlier with Hezb Islami Gulbuddin. Actually, I did not mention the split, but I mentioned the other faction. And it had some people that are going to be relevant later into the series, such as Mr. Mullah Omar over here and Mr. Haqqani. These two are going to be very important. And there is Shura in Nazar. Practically, it's an extension of Jamiat Islami. It's led by Ahmad Shah Massoud. It's basically it unified the resistance units across northern Afghanistan that were separate from Jamiat, but also included Jamiat. And then there is the National Islamic Front for Afghanistan, led by Ahmed Ilani. It is mostly Pashtun, but it's not exclusively Pashtun. They are one of the most liberal faction. Like they're the most liberal of all the Afghan Mujahideen factions. Like they even like beat Jamiat Islami in that regard. They were sympathetic to the former monarchy, which I mentioned at the start of this series. They had royalist ties, and they were actually the most popular Mujahideen factions among Afghan refugees who fled the conflict to Pakistan, Iran, blah blah blah. Blah. And then there is the Islamic Revolution Movement of Afghanistan, led by Muhammad Nabi Muhammadi. is quite important. One of the most important factions in 1984, and it's not a very important part of your series. Just wanted to let you know. And there is the Soviet team. They got the 40th or the Soviet 40th Army, the VDV, or the guys that ride on helicopters and parachute out of planes, the airborne unit, the airborne forces, the parachutists. Then there is the GRU, the military intelligence, which included Spetsnaz, and KGB, which included some units of Spetsnaz. And these I forgot to add this but I forgot to add because like some one time my save did not save, but it's supposed to be like some sort of the Soviet Air Force. Yeah, yeah, sorry. Don't mind my minor dimension. And then the ground units, basically the 40th Army and the VDV. Note that the VDV technically fights on the ground. They're only deployed via air. They are mechanized, means they are mounted on armored vehicles, which is very significant foreshadowing. And I'm just going to say it right here. Um, Using armored vehicles are a very to transport your troops are a very good idea until you go into mountains or basically rough terrain. Jungles? Not jungles? Yeah, you're definitely gonna have limited visibility. Swamps, you're going to get the tracks and the wheels of this of said armored vehicle stuck in the mud. Mountains, you're going to have to pass through very narrow areas that can leave you vulnerable to ambush, which you're going to see me mention in the next part of the series. Then there is part two of the Soviet team, the Afghan faction, the Afghan armed forces. They had a very low morale. They were kind of corrupt, and they had severe skill issue. And I mean that literally. They had high desertion rates, aka the act of illegally leaving a military. And then they also had some members often defected to the rebels. If you don't know what defection is, it's basically hitting the change team button. And that's the end of it. I hope you all enjoyed part 5 of Afghanistan, how interesting it is, and I'll see you in my next upload. If this video was a little bit longer than usual, it's because I probably took some time explaining some of the shenanigans and terms. I'll see you in my next upload, and peace.